I still remember the day my family moved out of our childhood home like it was yesterday. The old Victorian house on Elm Street had been our haven for over a decade, filled with memories of laughter, tears, and countless nights spent huddled around the fireplace listening to my father's ghost stories. As I grew older, my parents decided it was time to downsize, and we left the creaky wooden floors, musty smell, and sprawling backyard behind. But the memories lingered, and I often found myself wondering what had become of our beloved home. Years went by, and I received news that the house was up for sale again. Something inside me stirred, and I felt an overwhelming urge to return to the place where my childhood was forged. I decided to take a trip back to my hometown, and as I stood before the old house, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursed through my veins. The once vibrant paint had chipped, and the windows seemed to stare at me like empty eyes. But the structure itself remained unchanged. I pushed open the creaky gate, and the familiar scent of blooming lilacs wafted through the air, transporting me back to a time when life was simpler. As I approached the front door, I noticed something odd. The door was slightly ajar. A shiver ran down my spine, but I pushed it open and stepped inside. The air inside was stale, and cobwebs clung to the corners of the ceiling. I began to explore, my footsteps echoing off the walls as I made my way from room to room. Everything seemed smaller than I remembered, but the memories came flooding back. The spot where I learned to ride a bike, the tree house my father built, and the secret hiding spots I shared with my siblings. But as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the floor, I started to feel a presence around me. At first, it was just a faint whisper in my ear, a soft rustling of leaves. But it grew louder, more insistent. I tried to shake off the feeling, telling myself it was just the old house settling. But the presence only intensified. I started to feel like I was being watched, and the atmosphere in the house shifted from nostalgic to oppressive. I decided it was time to leave, but as I turned to make my way back to the front door, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. On the wall, in the same spot where my father used to hang our family photos, was a picture of me as a child, standing in front of the house. But it was not just any picture, it was one I had never seen before, and it seemed to be staring at me with an unblinking gaze. I felt a chill run down my spine as I realized that I was not alone in the house. And then, I heard the whisper, clear as day, "Welcome home." I spun around, but there was no one there. The voice seemed to come from all around me, echoing off the walls. I stumbled backward, tripping over my own feet, and fell to the ground. As I looked up, I saw the faces of my family members, their eyes black as coal, staring back at me from the walls. I scrambled to my feet and ran, not stopping until I was back in my car, speeding away from the house as fast as I could. I never looked back, but the memory of that haunted place has stayed with me. A constant reminder that some places are better left in the past even now. I can feel the presence watching me, waiting for me to return to the place where my childhood was forged, and where my nightmares began.